say my last speaker actually is in business with my wife. Well, the next speaker is actually my best mate, was best man at my wedding. Richard, are you going to introduce him? Because we've been accused over the years, John Downs is only in this to make money. John and Richard only do the CFZ, so John can make money and Richard can go on foreign expeditions. That is absolute nonsense. We do make money, yeah, we make quite a lot of money, but by crikey, we spend it. And Graham, in a second, after Richard has given him a suitably eccentric introduction, however, I don't think whatever you're going to say, Richard, will actually do justice to Graham is probably the most eccentric person I know. We're now going to tell you how we spend it and what your money you've given us this weekend is going to be spent on.
Long story short, Graham Inglis has got some donuts, he's taught them how to sing. Graham, Graham, don't go anywhere, Graham, we love you. Graham Inglis and his lovey-dovey donuts.
Okay, hi folks. Are the slides ready, Dave? Yeah. Do you want to whack the first one up? Right. Oh, before the break, John said jokingly that the CFZ money doesn't get spent on crack cocaine. Well, I'm sure nobody here really imagined that it did, but some of you might suspect that a lot of it gets spent on alcohol. Now, I can assure you that it doesn't go there either. So I'm going to tell you a few things that it does go on. And the first one is the museum construction. Now, I'm supposed to be giving you a report on the last 12 months, but I'll backtrack a bit before there, just to bring you completely up to date. At the back of the CFZ garden, an old chicken shack, basically built out of breeze blocks. Quite substantial, as you can see, but that was what it looked like in its early days, and that was then, and this is now. Next slide. There. That's looking much improved, and just to explain a bit about how that happened and where the money went while doing it. Now, ever since I was a young boy, I always wanted to drive one of those big yellow diggers that you see on building sites. Next slide. That actually came true last year. I got to drive the CFZ digger, which was probably one of the most fun CFZ duties I'd ever done, actually. That was carving out the foundations. Next slide, please. And next, starting to build the floor there, because it was just an earth floor. So we had to dig out some channels and dump in over a ton of concrete, actually. And most of you know Richard Freeman as a zoologist, professional zookeeper, explorer. Next slide. He's also got building experience, and he got to hump the ton of concrete all the way up the garden where it's being mixed, so that it could be actually put in the museum. And he'd cart the earth away that was dug out of the trenches. So earth out of the trenches, concrete in. Good foundation, ready for having loads of tanks of exhibits there. Basically, water being heavy stuff in tanks, you need a pretty good foundation for it. Okay, next one. The floor was quickly taking shape there. Quite expensive. We actually got some of the timber donated to us, which was brilliant, but most of the materials actually had to be paid for.
We had a very generous donation from Travis Perkins.
That's it, Travis Perkins, yeah. Most of the materials, though, actually had to come out of CFZ funds. Okay, next one. Now, that's where the floor was really coming together, but the walls were, well, sturdy, solid, breeze block, but didn't look terribly aesthetic. So I'll show you shortly what we did to them. I was just about to start cladding the walls with plasterboard when one of the curve walls that often crop up with CFZ the ceiling. Now, in that picture there, in the foreground, you've got the rotten beam, and just behind it is a solid beam, which I had to install in its place. So you're actually seeing them side by side. I put in the new beam, and then used a pickaxe to basically break away the old rotten beam before it fell down on the roof, landed on the new floor. So that was a very unexpected curveball, which we had to deal with quickly, and a bit more expense there. Anyway, that was dealt with, and then we started looking at the exterior of the place. Next slide, please. Doing a bit of painting there, sorting out the roof, and this next one, if we had longer for this talk, I might invite you folks to actually come up with a caption for this pig. Next pig. That's me. I actually had to use a scraper to clear the windows so that you can actually see through them. And basically you've got the before is on the right and after is on the left. And next pic also shows it. Yeah, basically you had about, 30 years of grime on those windows. So, I thought cleaning the windows would take about 10 minutes. It actually took about 4 hours. It's really surprising. And also, the view out of the left-hand window, you can actually see the aviary, which was also being built last year and into this year. Okay, next slide. Bit more painting going on there. Although in the nature of the CFZ, other things cropped up and I got pulled off that job halfway through. And actually Dave, our sound engineer, and the chap who's doing the slides now, he had to finish it off. So he finished off the painting of the museum after I'd started it. Next shot. There you go, that's the almost finished museum. Bit of path laying, which we did with the Bigfoot footprints. Some of you who went to the opening party will hopefully have seen that. And again, the aviary here on the right. Okay, next one. Inside the museum, once the walls and floor were done, I started building the benches ready for the tanks of water, the aquariums. Aquaria, I suppose that should be. You can see I was using pretty solid construction there. I decided to basically build them as solidly as possible to allow for future expansion or piling them up or whatever. Basically, I'd rather have them too strong than too weak. Next pic. And there's another view of it gradually coming together. And next one, the very first tank, which was plonked onto the new structure, and we let it settle in for a few days before we actually put a lot of water in. Now, one thing I do apologise for, I didn't include a picture of the way it looks actually at this moment, but hopefully a lot of you have seen that while you visited the CFZ. But yeah, apologies for not including that. And next picture. That's just a reminder of how it looks today. Okay, that's the museum construction side of things. Now, going on to the CFZ generally, the house itself fell into neglect somewhat because it was basically occupied by a couple of elderly people whose sphere of activities contracted as they got older, and so a bit of natural neglect occurred there. Next slide. So I've had to basically go up onto the flat roof, and you can see the white patching up that I've done. Incidentally, that photo looks a bit like a semi-aerial shot. I was up on the flat roof, but I also stuck the camera up on a 20-foot pole to take that picture in much the same way that crop circle enthusiasts elevate their cameras on automatic settings to get a sort of pseudo-aerial view of things. Next pic. And there's another one. Looks a bit washed out from down here, but that's the main roof of the sort of CFZ house over there on the right. And you can see it's not in that bad a state, but it's very old, so it's got lots of little bendy bits, or what the estate agents would say it's got character, I suppose. So that's the way it's and also no guttering. Next slide. So one day I shinned up a ladder and installed the guttering there, and found, you can see, I think, that the guttering bows around to the right, because there are very few straight lines involved with the CFZ main house. It's all sort of bendy and curvy and, well, basically, how old is it, John, that bit?
The house itself, there was two cottages which burned down in 1800. So most of the house was rebuilt in about 1803. Bits of it are about 200 years old. Other bits were added on 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, basically back in those days, builders didn't worry that much about keeping things in straight lines. So basically the roof was curvy and bendy, so I had to make the guttering match the roof, basically. That was quite a challenge. Basically, when you normally put up guttering, you use standard fixing brackets from B&Q or wherever. I had to custom make every single one because the intervals were all different along the roof line. Basically, because the roof line doesn't match the wall below. So, you know, it was quite a custom job that was done there. And here's some proof now of how I boldly go where no other CFZ personnel go. Next slide. That's me right up on the roof there. I was sorting out a problem with the chimney pot because birds tend to try and nest in them sometimes. So I had fun going up there 30 feet above the ground to actually cap the chimney pot. Now, next slide, this was another CFZ curveball. There it is. I came down one morning and found the porch ceiling on the floor. And that's basically because of the lousy weather we've been having, and the roof had actually deteriorated more than I realised.
Well, Graham's not telling you, didn't come down one morning. This was actually 4 days before the weird weekend.
Yep. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, well, I better get out the old wheelbarrow and just sort of scoop it up and cart it away, basically. So there was an urgent need then for building an improvised roof. Flat roof on the porch, it is about 9 feet by 8 feet, something like that. And I realised it was in such a lousy state that I had to improvise one straight away because it was bad weather. Now, unfortunately, I had somewhere to go that afternoon, so I had about half an hour in which to construct effectively a roof from scratch, which was quite a challenge. But luckily, John had got some shelving up from his old place in Exeter, bookshelving. So I hastily pressed that into service, just whacking nails through it in a totally cavalier manner, and created a new roof in about half an hour. Whacked a load of felt on it, hard felt stuff, and then just hoped for the best, basically.
And then borrowed some Gumcock Roy to fill up the edges.
That's it, yeah. And it hasn't done too badly, actually. Just a few drips coming in here and there. But yeah, dealing with curveballs, it happens from time to time with the CFZ, basically. It's the nature of the beast. Okay, next pick. Now, backtracking to the aviary, that was when construction was first starting, over a year ago now. Next pick. And that's it in its pretty well finished state. And again, weather was a major hindrance there. also another thing we had to take into account when doing the museum. A lot of the tanks needed climate control gear on them, which means a decent electricity supply, which in turn meant we had to lay on electricity from the main house all the way up to the museum, which is about, I don't know, 70 feet. That's about, what, 25 metres, something like that. So we had to buy armoured cable for that. Now, armoured cable, about an inch thick, 2.5 centimetres diameter, that is pretty expensive stuff, that is. So we had to lay that on, and then provide a ring main all around the museum, which was interesting. I did some of that, extending it, and I found, despite all the rules and regulations that you've got these days, I was looking on a government website about this, rules and regulations, it doesn't actually need certifying by a trained electrician, although in point of fact it was looked over. But I was quite surprised to find that we were under no obligation so to do. You only have to get it checked out if you're putting a ring main into a room that's got running water plumbed in, apparently. Or so I gather. But that doesn't apply to the museum. So I think I haven't got much longer here to rattle on. So I don't know if there's any questions here, but that will give you some brief sort of view of where some of the money goes and a lot of the effort goes.
I'll tell you what I was actually going to say, Graham. I think most of you were at the cocktail party on Thursday night, but if there's any of you who weren't and would like to come and have a look around the CFZ Museum, we finish 5 o'clock-ish tomorrow afternoon. If you want to come and have a look around the CFZ Animals, CFZ Museum, you are welcome to come up. And rather than have question and answers now, Graham, you talk people through anything they want to know.
Yeah, that sounds good, especially as I forgot to put a picture of the finished interior up on the display. So yeah, it'd be cool if you come and check it out.
It's one of the things about the CFZ, like Graham said it several times in his talk, and sort of struck a chord with me. We're not professionals. We have no idea what we're doing half the time, but we get there. We muddle our way through. I'm Graham at the university studying biochemistry, and he spent most of his time fixing roofs. I mean, I don't understand how we've managed to do it. But over the last 18 years, the CFZ has achieved pretty amazing things. And it's mainly because of the enthusiasm and the help, like the people we talked about during the awards, all these people who give their time, money and effort for nothing. And I couldn't do it without any of you. Graham,